Hello and welcome to the very first episode of the More You Nole, a podcast about Florida State University. I'm your host, Mike, Director of Social Media for Florida State's Office of Admissions. With the university participating in social distancing and excited students unable to visit campus, we hope this podcast can help our newly admitted students connect with us and learn more about FSU. On each episode, I'll be talking to somebody from the campus community to learn more about them, their role at Florida State, the programs they run or the classes they teach, and how incoming students can get the most out of their Florida State experience. On our first episode, I speak with Kenya Shakir from Florida State's Center for Leadership and Social Change, which offers more than 30 programs for students, faculty, and staff intended to foster opportunities and vision to create positive, sustainable change in their communities and the broader world. We'll learn about her background as an AmeriCorps volunteer, a few of the programs she runs at the center, a few scholarship opportunities, and how students can practice diversity and inclusion in their daily lives. All right, we're here with Kenya Shakir from the Center for Leadership and Social Change.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing great. First, thanks so much for being with us today. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you made your way to Florida State?
Yeah, so I'm originally from North Carolina. I grew up near Fort Bragg, which is an Army base. So my dad was in the Army. He retired, became a detective, and I grew up in North Carolina. I went to undergrad at East Carolina University, home of the Pirates, and majored in sociology. I originally wanted to be a therapist, and that underlying hope to help people and inspire people and pretty much helping them develop to be better than who they were has led me into all my different career paths. And so I'm not a therapist, but I did service in AmeriCorps after I graduated early from ECU. And I worked in college access at North Carolina State University. And then I went to grad school at Grand Valley State University in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And in grad school, I have a master's in higher education administration, which pretty much means the people that you see behind the scenes at universities, helping students develop, helping students with their extracurriculars and getting them the tools and resources that they need to be great college students outside of academics. That's what higher ed is. That's what student affairs is. That's another name for it. And I currently work in the Center for Leadership and Social Change, overseeing our multicultural student programming, which deals a lot with multicultural leadership, recognition, and diversity programs and scholarships.
Cool. So you mentioned that you were an AmeriCorps volunteer. I'm interested to know what you learned through AmeriCorps as a volunteer that helped you in your career.
I think some of the most amazing things that I learned that have stayed with me to this day is just about the inequities in higher education and the systems that kind of keep some people out of gaining the benefits of higher ed. And so I learned about educational inequity, which really guided my master's work. And then also learning about town and gown relationships. So pretty much what is the impact of a college campus and its stakeholders and population, like the students, the faculty, the people that work there? What is that impact on the people that have already lived in that community before? What are we giving back to communities like Tallahassee by being a part of Florida State?
Okay, cool. That's really interesting. So I know the center obviously has a lot of different programs related to diversity and inclusion. Which are you most excited about?
I would say my time planning the Multicultural Leadership Summit, which is a 2-day event that occurs usually at the end of January. And I plan that with 5 other students and a couple of grad students. That's the one I'm most excited about. It's also the one that requires the most work. And I'm most excited because we get to invite students from different universities, whether that's in Alabama, Georgia, Florida. And this year, we got a university, actually my hometown university of Fayetteville State University, so another FSU. We get to invite students from other universities. Students get to be, in front of the classroom and teaching others about their own experiences, their own knowledge, how it relates to leadership and multiculturalism and diversity. And we always have a really great keynote speaker that we bring in to speak. And this year was absolutely amazing.
Who'd you get this year?
We got Eduardo Miranda Rodriguez, who is the author and creator of Labor en Kenya, who is the teen Puerto Rican kind of supplement to Wonder Woman. And so he came in and he talked about the just kind of like the beauty and the significance of Puerto Rico and its history. And then talking about his creation, as a digital creative, as a creative person, creating this comic book and how he's like, this has grown exponentially. And now he has partnered with the Smithsonian and Marvel. In Labor en Kenya, her superpower is being able to utilize the weather and the atmosphere. And so she talks about climate change and saving the earth and, being from a diverse background. And she lives in like New York City, I think in the Bronx, actually. And so that's all a part of her comic book world.
Oh, that's really cool. It sounds like a really interesting keynote. I wouldn't have expected someone like that at all to come to a thing like that. That's really cool intersection of like pop culture and like inclusivity and diversity. I love that. So obviously Multicultural Leadership Summit is one of your big programs. You've got students like driving in and flying in. And obviously you've got some local students as well. Do you have any programs that you think would be really good for like incoming freshmen to be interested in something that would really help them, like if they're looking to dip their feet into what the center has to offer?
Oh, absolutely. My very first program of the year is the Estanco Welcome Mixer. And so some of my programs incorporate the Seminole Tribe of Florida, their culture. And so the Estanco means welcome. And it is a great time. There's food, there's a DJ, and it's a collaboration between New Student Family Programs and the Center for Global Engagement. So we're able to like have a really nice multicultural meal in the Globe. And then we get to hear from organizations like the Student Union. So Asian American Student Union, Black Student Union, Women's Student Union, Pride Student Union, Hispanic Latino Student Union. And so those students and those leaders come, the orientation leaders come, so those freshmen can like be reunited with their orientation leader. And this happens the first week that school starts. So that's the very first program that they can start to network, meet people, learn more about the center. And we also give out a scholarship usually during that program. And so the scholarship is for people who have already been at FSU, but I think that's the first time that they see, I can get scholarships out of the center. And this is one in particular that I know I can apply to and look forward to receiving next year.
That's great. You actually segued perfectly into my next question. I know that the center has some scholarships available. So do you have any information on those for our incoming freshmen?
Yeah. So the scholarship that I mentioned that's at Estanco is the Seth Rossetti Memorial Scholarship. And so this scholarship is for a student who was raised by a single mom, who may be low income. And then they're like, all they have to do is create an artistic piece showcasing their interests, their background, things like that. And I think that's a really great way for an introductory way for students to like get involved and also like earn money to help for their schooling. I think another scholarship, which I also oversee, is our MLK Book Stipend Scholarship. And so that has been an amazing scholarship that highlights, Dr. Martin Luther King's ideals, what his teachings were, and how students what students plan to do and achieve and be successful in, once they, while they're still in school, and then once they accomplish their dreams and their goals. That's a really good one. We also have this I don't oversee, but we also have Service Scholars, which is an amazing scholarship. Also, that is primarily for students who are still in high school who know they're going to go to Florida State. That's a 4-year scholarship. It has an amazing curriculum and class and cohort model. So you're not alone. You're with other scholars, and it's for all 4 years and a good amount of money. So I recommend any freshmen who know students who are coming to FSU next fall for them to start looking into Service Scholars.
Yeah, I know that's a huge one. I know we've always helped promote that one, and I see tons of applications come in for it. It's been around for a long time on Florida State's campus.
Yeah, it's a great program. I really, really love it.
So you're talking about the MLK Book Stipend. Is there a special application for that?
There is, and that usually opens up around October of every year, and that application can always be found at the center website. So the center.fsu.edu under recognition, we have a whole page about the MLK book stipend, and it's not that very long of an application. It's a few questions. You also need a letter of recommendation, but you're able to get $350. That's what we awarded last year, but $350 towards your books.
That's really great. By the way, I think we've probably said it a bunch on this episode already. We just keep referring to the location where you work as the center, which is what everyone on campus calls the Center for Leadership and Social Change. So just for our new students, when you get on campus and you hear people talking about the center, that's what they're talking about. Yeah,
we are the center. We're really well known. I would say for a couple of things. So first is our donuts. We have a lot of donut in our marketing, and it's because we say, find your center, like the center of a donut. And then also our t-shirts. So each program that we have in the center every year has a t-shirt that's associated with the program that has a funky, cool color. And so a lot of times students will try, through their years at FSU, try and collect all the center t-shirts. So that's a really cool thing. And I think the other thing that we're kind of known for, which is sad, is that sometimes people don't know where we are. And so we are located right across from the Career Center in the Dunlap Student Success Center.
Yeah, and you are quite appropriately very much near the actual center of campus geographically, too.
We're the hub.
Yeah. All right. So obviously, one thing a lot of schools talk about is diversity and inclusion, and these are really big buzzwords on college campuses, really across the nation. So what are some ways that the center helps foster inclusivity and diversity on Florida State's campus in particular?
I think first and foremost, we have a very diverse staff. And so in the Center for Leadership and Social Change, we cover topics of leadership, community engagement, and diversity and identity development. But we really show that through our staff as well. So I think any student at Florida State's campus can come into the center and find someone that may have similar background to them, similar identities, and that can be a staff member that they can look to and talk to about their experience here at FSU. I think that's the very first thing. Through our programming, we have a lot of opportunities for people to learn about their own identity, such as programs like Logic, which is like an outdoor leadership retreat. Through the Multicultural Leadership Summit, they can learn about themselves. Through Estanco, they can learn about the Seminole tribe as soon as they get on campus. So you have the opportunity to learn about yourself and to learn about others through the Center for Leadership and Social Change programming. And then also you can learn how to use your skills to best help the community. So as I was talking about Town and Gown earlier, with the community engagement programs, we go out and we understand ourselves first and what that means in this world, in this very global world. And then we go out into the Tallahassee community and try to help others who may or may not have the same identities as us. So I think through all of the program, and this is really our model, is that you learn about yourself, you learn about others, and you learn about the impact that you can have on the world.
That's really great. And it kind of leads into my next question as well. This one isn't really as specific to FSU or the center, but what steps do you think we, as university administrators or as incoming students or as faculty members, what steps can we take in our daily lives to help foster that inclusivity on campus?
I think the very, very first step is self-introspection and self-awareness. And so I think people may have heard about bias and prejudice, but implicit bias are those thoughts that we kind of automatically have from how we've grown up, from the experiences that we've had in our life. And so sometimes our implicit bias makes us create scenarios or definitions about people that might not be true. And so just checking ourselves and our thinking first before we start interacting with people who may be different from us or even who may be the same as us, because we may be assuming a lot of things about people that just aren't true and that may be barriers to us, having relationships and being collaborative. So checking ourselves. And then secondly, doing research. Like college is the best time to learn about so much. And so instead of like putting people in the hot seat or on the spot in class or in your residence hall, or in your sorority or your fraternity, start doing research on our own. Like we have Google that is, on our phones, that is giving us a wealth of information. So if you have questions, it's okay to have questions. It's okay not to know. But you should start researching first on the internet before you start like asking people about their lives, kind of, especially if you don't know them. And then the third thing I would say is build relationships with people. So it doesn't matter necessarily when you're starting to build a relationship if a person, comes from the same hometown as you, has the same major, looks like you, same income background. What matters is like what you have in common, how you can grow a really nurturing relationship with one another. And so grow that relationship, get to know these people as people before you start knowing them as like labels that we have in society.
And so what do you think, with this big push for diversity and inclusion, what do you think that does to help improve the university as a whole?
I think first and foremost, it makes the university more accessible to all types of people. I think a lot of times people say that higher education is like a great societal equalizer. And so how can we continue to, promote equity in our society as a whole if a lot of people aren't able to access something like higher education? So it makes it accessible to all people, race, religion, sexuality, gender, ability or disability status, income levels, all those things. I think also it creates a safe space for people to learn new things. And so, like I said before, college is about learning about yourself, about others, and new material in the world. And so how can I feel safe learning about these things if I feel that I'm being ostracized in my community or I don't feel a part of this larger community? And also, I think having diversity and inclusion on a campus, it is mirroring the real world. Like there are rarely any pockets of like monotony or just very monotonous like populations around the world. And so having a diverse campus shows like what you're about to enter into when you leave this beautiful campus. And I think lastly, I would say community. So when I feel safe, when I have great relationships here, when I know that this experience has made me successful for the real world, I buy into FSU way more. I'm coming to the games. I'm coming to homecoming. I'm, giving to support more scholarships and support students who are in need. I'm wearing my colors everywhere, like buying into the university and showing that school pride. I truly believe diversity and inclusion is a part of that.
Yeah, and that'll also have a positive effect on the student's academic career. We've, our own internal research, our division has found that the students who are more engaged on campus tend to have higher GPAs and are more successful in college.
Absolutely. So everything that we do in higher ed and student affairs is so that the student is, personally developed and reaching their highest. And a part of that is their academic potential as well.
All right, so we've gotten pretty deep on the center. I've got a few quick fire fun questions for you now. Are you ready for them?
Yes.
Okay, so what's your favorite thing about Florida State?
Oh, it's such a beautiful campus. I know right now we're in social distancing, but I had to kind of like pack up my office a little bit. And the last time I was there, it was just so beautiful. The flowers were in bloom. I think it's been voted one of the beautiful campuses in America. It is a beautiful campus. Like it just makes you want to be great. It gives you that feeling of what you see on TV of I'm going to sit on, Landis and have a picnic and throw my Frisbee, things like that. You can actually do those things at FSU because it's like so aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, I can look out my office window, and if it's the afternoon, I can usually see some students playing Frisbee on Langford Green. Okay, what's your favorite local food? We got all these students coming into town. They've never been to Tallahassee before, and I know they want to know like what's good to eat.
My favorite places to go have been Kiki's Breakfast Cafe, which is nearby the smaller Target. Near campus. I like that place. I really love Harry's Seafood Grill, which is also near campus and has like a Cajun seafood menu. And then Little India or Essence of India. They're a great Indian place. So is Blossom Kitchen. There's a lot of great Mexican restaurants in town. Yeah.
All right. So I was reading your profile on the center's website, and it says that you like to unwind by watching shows with your cat. Now, I want to know what's your cat's favorite show?
Oh, that's a good question. My cat's favorite show is Outside. That's what has him glued His eyes are glued all the time. He's watching the birds. We have a lot of trees nearby, so we have a lot of squirrels as well. So he's always looking in a window. I've set up my apartment so that he has perches to look out windows throughout the whole day. That's his favorite show.
Nice. I'm sure he's also been happy with his mom lying around or being around all day.
I think at the beginning he was. I think now I'm messing up his sleep schedule. Like he's having his naps are getting interrupted.
All right, next quick fire question. So I also read that you're a big tea drinker. What's your favorite tea blend?
Tea blend?
Or I guess your favorite tea?
Mint tea. I've also been drinking a lemon ginger tea that has like probiotics in it, which is really good. And then I love a good chai with some milk and cream. Oh, I love tea. I'm really not a coffee drinker, except for that very brief time I lived in New York. But I love tea.
Yeah, I'm a tea drinker myself, so I was really personally interested in that answer as well. And if you're a tea drinker out there, just know that FSU now has a tea shop on campus. I think it's been open for about a year. It's called Argo Tea, right on Landis Green. It's a cool little place right next to the Innovation Hub, so you can get an interesting tea and then go check out the 3D printers and virtual reality stuff inside the iHub.
Yeah, and Argo Tea has some amazing like combinations of teas, hot and cold, and they have baked goods as well.
All right, let's see. This is my last question for you. What is the one piece of advice you would give to a newly incoming freshman at Florida State University?
Just one? It's kind of like 1.5 or 2. So the very first one is to like be patient with yourself. I think students these days think they have to come in and have it all figured out, like every detail. And that's just going to stress yourself out way more. It's not going to help you be able to enjoy the breadth of the college experience. So just be patient, be okay with having to have a different plan sometimes, or rerouting, or whatever that may look like. Be open to that. And then my second piece of advice, which kind of is the same, is go out and do so many things that you're interested in. When I went to college, I created a list of all the RSOs that I wanted to be a part of, that I was interested in. Take that time to do that. Like, you have this uninterrupted time that you're paying a lot of money for. So like, take advantage of every single benefit and resource that we have on campus, at least once in the time that you're at Florida State.
Awesome. Well, Kenya Shakir, thanks so much for joining us today, and go Noles.
Yes, go Noles. Thank you so much. This was a great time.
Thanks again to Kenya Shakir for taking some time out of her day to speak with us. If you'd like to learn more about the Center for Leadership and Social Change and the programs they offer, check out their website, thecenter.fsu.edu. You can also find them on social media at the Center FSU on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. We'd also love to hear from you. If you have any questions you'd like answered or feedback on the show, please email admissions@fsu.edu and include the word podcast in the subject line. You can also reach us on social media. We are at FSU Admissions on Twitter and Facebook, and at FSU.admissions on Instagram. Our theme music is none other than Florida State's own Marching Chiefs, audio tracks donated by Mark Records, Clarence, New York, markcustom.com. If you enjoyed this episode and think your friends might too, we'd love for you to tell them about it. And don't forget to subscribe to the show in Apple Podcasts or your podcast app of choice. Thanks again for listening, and go Noles.